Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte, and this podcast is recorded on Monday, July 25th, 2022. If it was April 25th, we would still have hope. It is not. It is July 25th, and we do not. So there you go. I want to talk this evening about a couple things, and so we'll get into... There we go. We'll get into some topics, a couple of quick topics. But before we do that, I just wanted to update you on a couple of injury situations. Austin Meadows is taking a very, very cautious rehab program and is involved in some baseball activities in Lakeland. The Tigers placed Ronnie Garcia and Michael Pineda on the injured list over the weekend, both of them on the 15-day injured list. Actually, I believe it's probable that Garcia went on the 60-day injured list, and because he re-aggravated. Actually, they're saying it's not related to the shoulder soreness that he had earlier, which landed him on the IL originally. But they're thinking they're going to have to shut him down for a bit. Pineda went on the injured list because of right triceps tightness. And this is what we get from Michael Pineda. You'll get a good 15, maybe 17 starts from him. But he'll spend a couple of months on the injured list and in rehab, and that's just what you get. That's the way he goes these days. We've come to expect it, and that doesn't bother us as baseball fans, because when he's on, he's very solid as a back of the rotation fourth or fifth starter. Matt Manning went 4 1/3 innings on Friday, gave up 4 runs on 7 hits, walked 1, struck out 1. Considering where things were in June, I'm just happy to see him on the mound. Considering that he had some shoulder soreness after he was supposedly cleared to play and had to go back into a rehab program and has been very, very slow to progress. And I think a lot of that is based on caution. It's precautionary, but on the behalf of the Detroit Tigers. I don't think he's been sitting there going, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. I think he's been ready to go. I think the Tigers are just like, yeah, you know what? You are one of our first overall picks. You were the number 1 pick for us in 2016. So guess what? You're going to have to wait. We're going to take our time with you, because we have an investment in you, and we want to make sure that you fulfill what we need you to fulfill as part of that investment. So, Spencer Turnbull is apparently throwing off a mound, and Jake Rogers is doing pretty much everything. He's just trying to develop his arm strength to throw from behind the plate to back to the pitcher. So he's expected to probably start a rehab assignment in late August, early September, so that we may see him reactivated before the end of the year. Spencer Turnbull, again, throwing off a mound, may possibly get into a rehab situation in early August. And from what what I read today, it's very probable that it's possible that they might just actually say, you know what, just get him a couple of starts in Toledo, and we'll see how he goes. And maybe September, we'll late August, early September, you might see your starting rotation may include Eduardo Rodriguez, Tarek Skubal, Spencer Turnbull, Matt Manning, and Michael Pineda, depending. And I mentioned Eduardo Rodriguez. He is actually starting to work out. He's been in touch with the Tigers. He's starting to get back into... He's been keeping in shape, he says, in Florida. And he's ready to go. He's ready to start working out again. And basically, from that standpoint, though, it's back to pitchers. It's back to pitchers and catchers report for him. It's basically he's starting all over from day one. It's going to take him a good 6 weeks or so to get ramped up and ready to go. For the month of September, really, is when you can expect Eduardo Rodriguez to be back in Detroit, possibly the end of August, but I'd say around Labor Day, which is what I said a couple weeks ago. So that is what it is. The Tigers, apparently, depending on what you read, according to the Tigers PR Twitter account, they've signed 11 of their 20 draft picks this year. Looking at the draft signings tracker, it looks like they've signed a few of those. The difference is the Tigers PR Twitter doesn't say anything about Jace Young being signed. The draft tracker does. The Tigers PR Twitter says that Peyton Graham signed. The draft tracker does not. So we'll know next Monday whether or not any of these guys did not get signed, because they have until next Monday to sign with a team. And then they have the ability to go into free agency until a week before next year's draft, in which case they then become draft eligible again. So that is the story as far as the draft picks go. Spencer Torkelson, I mentioned this on Wednesday's pod after I got my hard drive back up and running. Spencer Torkelson was sent down to AAA on Sunday. They called up Cody Clemens to replace him. Now, this makes sense to me because Cody Clemens can play second, he can play first, he can play third, he can play left, and he can play right. And AJ Hinch loves that position flexibility. The one thing that he is not as well-rounded as far as it goes between comparisons to him and Spencer Torkelson is Torkelson plays a much better defense at first base than anybody that the Tigers have in their system right now. And they're going to miss that. They didn't seem to miss it yesterday or today, but they will miss it. And that's going to be a problem. It's going to be an issue in the weeks and months to come. Now, depending on how well Spencer Torkelson does in the next 3 weeks, he might only spend 2 or 3 weeks down in Toledo. He might spend a month in Toledo and come up in the last month and a half of the season and hit 10 home runs and drive in 40 runs and hit 400 for the rest of the year. But at this point, we don't know when he's going to come back or if he's going to come back at all this year from AAA. He just has a lot to work out and a lot of things to fix. And when he does that, he'll be back in Detroit. They are not going to. They're not going to. They're not going to allow him to just languish in Toledo. They're going to give him every opportunity. And so far this year they have. They're going to give him every opportunity to play in the major leagues because, again, he's a 1-1. He's the number 1 overall draft pick in 2020. They need him, and they need him to shine. And when he does, if he does, then things will be a lot better for both parties involved. I want to get into a couple of things that sort of caught my eye over the last couple days. I want to talk about 2 Tiger players. One of them's hitting 284, one of them's hitting 300. And if you said Harold Castro and Miguel Cabrera, respectively, you'd be on the right track because they are 2 Tiger players who Miguel is hitting 300 and Harold Castro is hitting 284. Here's the difference. These guys are no longer Tiger players. They both play on the West Coast. They both play in the National League West. They were both Detroit Tigers. One of them as early as recently as June. The other one as recently as last year. Nomar Mazara is hitting 300 for the San Diego Padres. Now, he's not hitting with a lot of power. He's not. He's still striking out quite a bit. He's not drawing a lot of walks. But he's hitting 300. And when you look at an offense where you have your leadoff hitter hitting 248, the guy that was your leadoff hitter hitting 205, Miguel Cabrera hitting 300, a utility player, a platoon player hitting 284. Your star signing, your big name signing in the offseason hitting right around 200. Your opening day second baseman hitting right around 200. Your catcher's hitting right around 230 combined. Your opening day third baseman hitting right around 200. When you're looking at a team that is dead last in the league offensively, and you see Nomar Mazara hitting 300, you kind of go, what? We now hop on a plane and take a short flight north to Los Angeles, where we find Trayce Thompson, who the Tigers had in their minor league system, sitting in Toledo in AAA as recently as early June, and they decided Al Avila in his whatever the heck is in his head, whatever state of mind he's in, decides, let's trade Trayce Thompson for cash considerations. Our offense isn't doing very well, but, you know, we got Willie Castro, we got Victor Reyes, we got Akil Baddoo, we got Robbie Grossman, we got Riley Green, who at the time was still on the injured list. We got Austin Meadows, who at the time was on the injured list. But, you know, we've got all these outfielders. He won't do well here. We might as well just trade him for cash. No players, just give us some money. We'll you know, just take his contract off the books for us, and we'll go ahead and send him to LA. He can hang out with his brother, who happens to play for the Golden State Warriors, Mr. Klay Thompson. So, you know, it'll be good for us, and it'll be good for LA, and it'll be good for Trayce. Trayce Thompson is hitting 284 with an 853 OPS. I just mentioned all the situations and all the problems that we have offensively. Victor Reyes has been hurt. Akil Baddoo has not even been a shadow of his former self. Riley Green's hitting 248. Robbie Grossman's hitting 205. 205 for a guy that hit 236 last year. But that's okay. We got cash. And Trayce Thompson is in LA and doing well, and that's all right because we got cash. If I make the statement that I don't trust Al Avila to run this team properly, all I need to give for reasons is Trayce Thompson, Isaac Paredes. Javi Baez. Tucker Barnhart. Tucker Barnhart is a lifetime 248 hitter. He's hitting 225. Okay. I don't blame the injuries on Al Avila. Matt Manning getting hurt didn't happen because Al Avila's an idiot. Casey Mize getting hurt didn't happen because Al Avila's a dumbass. Okay, Eduardo Rodriguez going through his marital issues didn't happen because because Al Avila is a blockhead. Okay, those are unpreventable things. But you might want to evaluate your talent a little bit better before you trade them for cash. Or in the case of Justin Upton, you get traded for Elvin Rodriguez, who we might see Friday. Or in the case of Nomar Mazara, he hits 212 for Detroit, you release him. He signs with San Diego, hits 300. Or in the case of Matt Boyd, you could have traded him with 2 years of control left in 2019 and gotten some decent draft pick, or not draft picks, but decent prospects for him. But you didn't. And now we've got a week to go, and Michael Fulmer's name is in trade rumors, and Joey Menez's name is in trade rumors, and Jonathan Scope's name is in trade rumors. Ain't nobody going to take Jonathan Scope. Ain't nobody going to take Robbie Grossman. Ain't nobody going to take Jamer Candelario. Jason Foley might be tradable. You know, there's any number of players on this Detroit roster, especially in the bullpen, who could very easily find themselves putting on another uniform on the 3rd of August or sooner. And what's Al Avila going to get for them? Your Elvin Rodriguez's of the world and your Benjamin Franklin's of the world. Hey, Al, New York is on line 1. They want to talk about Michael Fulmer. You got the Mets on line 1. They want to talk about Michael Fulmer. Well, let's throw let's throw Gregory Soto in with that, and we'll ask them to send us a bag of balls, because I don't really know what I'm doing. Not in this day and age, I don't. I just can't deal with Al Avila. I just can't. If Chris Ilitch, the thought of Chris Ilitch signing him to another extension just tightens my colon. I just can't deal with it. I know Mickey Mouse needs Goofy to run with and have fun with and play golf with, whatever. But my God. Signing Al Avila to a contract extension would be basically pushing back the Tigers' rebuild for whatever the length of that contract extension is. And I've gotten on this situation before. I've harped on this before. But Dayton Moore from the Kansas City Royals, last year spent $10 million more on payroll than Al Avila did for the Tigers. And he's got better players in Kansas City for just $10 million more. That was last year. Sure, Detroit finished in fourth ahead of Kansas City with a 77-85 record. Okay, I understand that. But that's because of A.J. Hinch as a manager. That's because Akil Baddoo had a year like nobody else, nobody thought he would. That's because Jonathan Scope played to his ability. That's because Robbie Grossman took advantage of a juiced baseball. Do you realize Baltimore has had 2 winning months in a row? Detroit hasn't had 2 winning weeks in a row this year. I would dare to say that Detroit hasn't even had combined 1 winning month. In other words, they have not had all total 4 winning weeks. And it's because of the players that Al Avila has put in the dugout with A.J. Hinch. Now, some of those are contract situations. You really can't do anything about Miguel Cabrera, and he's actually performing. He hit his his 4th home run tonight. He's not gonna. Yeah, we'll go into that. He hit his 4th home run tonight. Detroit scored 12. They beat San Diego 12-4. But San Diego didn't get in until 4 o'clock this morning after taking 2 out of 3 from the Mets over the weekend. The Mets, who will be getting Gregory Soto and Michael Fulmer for a bag of baseballs. And maybe cash considerations. And maybe their 174th ranked prospect. Because, well, you got to throw a body in there somewhere. So, you look at these players, and I'm going to make this statement, and you'll have to just bear with me here. The following statement is true. Javi Baez, Miguel Cabrera, neither one will hit 10 home runs this year. Jeimer Candelario right now leads this team with 8. He hit his 7th and 8th tonight. I'm going to say that again. Jeimer Candelario is leading the Detroit Tigers with 8 home runs. Javi Baez and Miguel Cabrera are not going to hit double-digit home runs this year. Now, Miguel Cabrera I can expect because he's 39 years old. Let's face it, he took advantage of a juiced baseball last year in 2020 to get to the double-digit home run totals that he had. Javi Baez? Even with a deadened baseball, you'd think he'd hit at least 20. He's not going to hit 10. If I'm proved wrong, I'll be happy. But he's not going to do it. I dare say he ends up finishing with 40 extra base hits. I don't think he's going to hit more than 20 doubles. And I don't think he's going to hit 10 home runs. And I don't think he's going to hit double-digit triples. He's not going to get to 40 extra base hits. Because let's say he does hit 20 doubles. Let's say he hits 9 homers. He's still got to hit 11 triples to get to 40. He's just not going to do it. So, at the end of the day, you've got a Detroit Tigers team on the field that Al Avila is responsible for putting together, who, when they add up all the home runs at the end of the year, this is how bad the Tigers' offense is. For the first time since 1954, this team is on pace to hit less than 100 runs, 100 home runs. This team is on pace to hit less than 100 home runs. There hasn't been a Tigers team to do that since 1954. I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not just pulling this stuff off of my desktop. I'm not reaching into the cupboard in the entertainment center with the diapers and the diaper wipes and the diaper rash cream and pulling out nonsense from baseball. These are facts. The Detroit Tigers will not hit 100 home runs this year. And that'll be the first team that doesn't do it, the first Tigers team not to do it since 1954. This is how bad it is. And if Chris Ilitch thinks that extending Al Avila is going to be the answer, he's not that bright, and he doesn't deserve to own this team. Because Al Avila certainly doesn't deserve to be in the front office of this team. You'd think I'd be happier after a Tigers win, but I just watched the Tigers lose 17-5 combined in 2 games to Minnesota. Strange schedule. Detroit had the All-Star break for 3 days, unless you were Gregory Soto or Miguel Cabrera, in which case you played in the game on Tuesday. But then they had to fly out to Oakland for a doubleheader, which they actually split with Oakland. I was kind of happy to hear that. And then they came home, had an off day on Friday, and ended up losing 8-4 to Minnesota on Saturday, and then 9-1 to Minnesota yesterday. Now they scored 12 tonight, beat San Diego 12-4, but it's not a good way to start your second half. To be fair, playing a doubleheader and then flying back on the West Coast and then flying back to Detroit, even though you got a day off, and playing a 2-game series isn't the best way to start your second half either. This is where the greed of the owners comes in, because the owners didn't want to miss any games because of the lockout. So now you've got double headers where there shouldn't be. You've got 5-game series. You've got teams playing double headers where one team is the home team one game, and then the next game of the doubleheader, they're the away team. It's just silly. It's silly. Not to be outdone, they've got another doubleheader starting at 3:10 on the 15th of August with Cleveland because of a rainout last Sunday before the All-Star break. It just makes you want to you got to laugh. There's nothing more that you can do. You just throw your hands up and laugh. 2 more against the Padres, and then they go on the road for 4 against the Blue Jays. I don't like their chances there. We'll come back next Sunday, and I'll complain. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can at Podcast Tigers on Twitter. TigersBaseballPodcast@gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address. Thank you so much to Anchor for distributing the podcast. Check us out on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it. Until next week, I'm Chris Schulte. Thanks for listening, everybody, and go Tigers.